Welcome, everyone. This is the Insurance and Real Estate Committee's meeting for April 1st, 2025. The meeting has been convened. Any remarks from chairs or ranking?
Nope.
Great. Great. All right, let's move into bills for review. Number one, is there a motion to JF HB 6771, file number 107, an act requiring the health insurance coverage for biomarker testing? Moved by Senator Wong. Second by Representative Barry. Any discussion? Representative Pavlik Tomato.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So what are we looking at in terms of cost for this bill? Do we have?
Sure. The estimated cost for the insurance department, 65 to 80,000 is for the study. And then for coverage of the mandate is less than 100,000 in FY26. And that is less than 200,000 in FY27. For the general fund, it is up to 92,000 for FY26, 184,000 for FY27. And the Department of Social Services, let's see, has some additional cost. That is about the summary. Any other questions?
We also had this bill, though. This one, I believe, came from Aging. We had this one in this committee earlier. So how is this bill different from the one that we already passed?
This bill has a study. It doesn't have the mandate review. And this mandate language is more comprehensive than the one that was passed.
Okay. I was just looking through. This one has, does this one have whole genome sequencing in it?
Yes, it does.
And I don't think did our bill have that? I don't think our bill had that, I believe. I don't know, if you can explain what that is or why we didn't have it in our bill?
The bill that came out of from our Insurance and Real Estate Committee was a much more negotiated bill with multiple players in this space at the table. Everyone kind of negotiated a little bit in order to get the mandate to a point that it wasn't as expensive as this version, but they are very similar. So they're in essence allowing coverage of a biomarker test. They're just different, in terms of a little bit more guardrails than the one that came out of the Insurance and Real Estate Committee.
Okay, because there's also, I think, the labs, right? In-network labs and out-of-network labs. And
That's also another good point. Our language really tried to steer people towards in-network.
Okay. Because I'm not sure why we would, I can understand in the context of, right, of regular medical services, right? And in network, out of network. But when it comes to labs, people aren't going to their favorite local laboratory, right? And most people don't even know where it's being sent. So I'm not sure why that is in here. The other thing was, I think, medically necessary when it came to the testing, as opposed to the language here. I don't know if.
Right. The language that came out of our committee was more doctor and evidence-based driven. This language here allows the patients to have a preference to do biomarker. That just didn't exist in the version out of the insurance committee.
Okay. And then I guess some of the other terms I think like here are a little broader when we're looking at what about FDA approval? Is there FDA approval required in this one?
This version does not, but the version that came out of committee did.
So then we're testing for experimental.
That is correct.
And do you know why that is? I mean, that's a little odd to
Again,
me.
I would just, this bill comes to us from the Aging Committee.
Yeah.
So, this was work that they, negotiated on in their committee. Not all members of the Aging Committee are also members of the Insurance and Real Estate Committee. So, it was sent to us, which we're grateful for. And I would assume that both versions of these bills would continue to see some negotiating efforts. One, to deal with the cost, two, to deal with the questions that you're bringing up, Representative Pavlock Tomato, and, making sure that we are able to afford biomarkers in the fully insured space, and also tightening up language around some of the concerns that you're bringing up.
Okay, yeah, because some of these increases, we just had a subcommittee public health meeting the other day, and a lot of these, or this and the other bill we're going to do today are not, I don't believe we're a part of those discussions. So as we know, we are in a tight budget this year and already over, so I'm not sure how some of this is going to get woven into that. So I guess we're going to have to go back or change some of what we've done in appropriations already. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Wong.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As the ranking member of both committees, Aging and the Insurance and Real Estate Committee, I can give some context to it. And first, I want to give great credit to Representative Garibay and Senator Hockadell, the chairs of Aging, and their incredible mission and well-intentioned mission in regards to addressing the biomarkers as it relates to rare disease and life-saving solutions. There is a fiscal note to it. And I noted, as the good chair of this committee noted in the official fiscal note, that there may be some more consideration in regards to the true cost of the fiscal analysis as you look at a broader base of coverage that's articulated in this bill and implementation. I think the other critical point is really to understand that this is a balanced work in progress. There is a bill in this committee that sought all the shareholders and input, and it's a work in progress. My hope is that the complement and the mission of the Aging Committee through this bill is going to be a collaborative working effort with combining both bills to be able to create solutions that meet the unique needs. Make no mistake about it, the bioscience innovation of biomarkers is truly remarkable and potentially life-saving, and particularly on the rare disease issue. So it's a win-win in sense of medical innovation and bioscience innovation, but we need to balance it with some of the cost issues that may be concerned in regards to coverage of that. So I'm going to be supportive of this, but I want to encourage that this continues to be a work in progress that kind of collaborates the insurance bill that we passed out of the committee earlier this year, as well as one that really fulfills the mission that the Aging Committee, through its cognitive role, has articulated. And I'll close by saying that ultimately it really goes to complement the remarkable champion advocates, the people that have come out articulating and educating rare disease and its impact on their loved ones, but also the various bioscience innovation organizations like Jackson Labs and all of our biomedical bioscience innovation that really is the forefront of American and Connecticut technology and innovation and businesses. But also I want to recognize the organizations that have advocated for this, from Alzheimer's Association to the American Cancer Society. They're champions in this. So I think this bill is a move forward, but continues to be a work in progress. And I hope we'll get all the shareholders involved and craft a bill in addressing biomarkers as an innovative solution to saving lives and making other lives better. But at the same time, making sure that the burden is not overly overwhelming on policyholders that cover it. So I urge support of this, but recognize that it's a work in progress. And I want to thank the chair for her work in this work earlier this year in engaging all the shareholders. And I look forward to continuing to work with her and the chair on this issue as well. So I urge support of this bill, ma'am.
Thank you for that summary, Senator Wong. Representative Meskers.
Thank you very much. I'd like to echo some of the comments of Senator Wong. I think it's essential we have a mandate review, no question. Not because I'm worried about the mandate, but the review of the cost. I think everything going forward is needs to have a mandate review because we need to understand the costs we're putting onto the system. I think the biomarkers, I don't know how to nuance that, but my concern with the biomarkers and FDA approval, given the current leadership of Health and Human Services in the FDA, we're gonna have to figure out how to craft where standard science is within the FDA and where cutting edge science is, because there's going to be a combination of people looking to get biomarker coverage for new and innovative, and in some cases where we'll be funding with our costs experimental treatments that don't have a basis in real science. So it's going to be hard to figure out how you nuance that in any revised bill. But I think the mandates review is essential. I think the biomarkers, if it's more broad-based, I understand the advocacy there. And I'm frankly pleased to see this referred back to insurance, because there's a number of bills in other committees that have direct impact on the insurance place market that have not been referred back. And I find that at least to the very least to be disturbing. So I appreciate that it's been referred back and we do get to talk about it today. I expect to support the bill. I realize that what I'm hearing is that it's a work in progress. We've got a bill. We've got to figure out where the balance lies. But I appreciate you one, that we're having the hearing. And so I thank our chairs for that and our ranking. And two, I intend to vote in favor of it. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Meskers. Representative Nuccio.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just kind of want to follow up between what the ranking member said and both there. I'm going to be a no on this today just because I think the bill that we passed out of insurance is a more comprehensive bill. It does address the in and out of network, which is a large driver to healthcare costs, and making sure that people are driving towards the least expensive part of care. That's not in this version of the bill here. And hopefully, voting no will mark it as, there's more work to be done and looking at it. But overall, I think the bill that we actually passed out of insurance and did the work on here is a better bill, and it's a more comprehensive bill. So for today, I'm going to be a no based on that.
Thank you, Representative Nuccio. Any other questions or concerns from the committee? Seeing none, clerk, please take the roll.
This is a roll call vote to JF HB 6771, an act requiring health insurance coverage for biomarker testing, to the floor. Representative Wood.
Yes.
Senator Cabrera.
Yes.
Representative Barry. Senator Anwar. Representative Pavlock D'Amato. Senator Wong.
Senator Huang votes yes.
Representative Ali Brennan. Representative Delnicki. Representative Meskers.
Representative Meskers is a yes.
Representative Nuccio. Senator Honig.
Yes.
Senator Lesser.
Senator Lesser, yes.
Senator Marks.
Marks is a yes.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to number 2, HB 6919, file number 84, an act requiring newborn screening for Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Is there a motion to JF to the floor? Moved by Senator Honig, second by Senator Cabrera. Any discussion? Representative Pavlock D'Amato.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just want to say I have read the testimony, and it is heartbreaking and yet I think very heartwarming to hear and read the testimony of mothers who have gone through this and are dealing with this. But through a lot of the testimony, I couldn't find some of the answers I was looking for. I believe this is testing would be included in DPH and testing for every child or newborn. So if Madam Chair could go through what the cost would be for DPH to add this testing, because I believe it would be mandated testing for every newborn. Is that correct?
Sure. For the Department of Public Health, the estimated costs are 337,000 for FY 27 and 319,000 for FY 28. And I believe that does include adding some staff. The comptroller's office, the FY 27 is 56,000, the same with FY 28. So those would be the costs.
Okay. And I believe there is, I think they said, a possible revenue gain from what can be charged by DPH for each of the tests. Do we know how many people, children, are afflicted with this every year, what the percentage is? I think there were about 22,000 births, I want to say, on average in a year, 35,000 births.
I would ask Janet at OLR, do you have a number? No. We don't have a number of how many births this affects at this time.
Okay, and then with the testing, I could see or read from the testing and understand that there were, let's say, a lot of the individuals would be better prepared to deal with this issue, knowing ahead of time. Is there currently a cure or treatment? I'm not sure what the testing then would achieve as far as if it would minimize the effects of the disease, knowing earlier.
I'm kind of unfamiliar with this disease. Do we have any clarity from OLR?
This is Janet from OLR. The only background I can share is what's in the bill analysis, that it is a severe form of muscular dystrophy characterized by progressive muscle degeneration and weakness, and it presents between ages 2 and 3 and primarily affects males.
All right. Yeah, I guess I'll keep looking. I'm not sure if there's something then in the pipeline as far as treatment, drug-wise. I couldn't find anything in my research, so I'll keep looking. But I think I just couldn't find answers for some of the questions that I had as it relates to this. So I'm going to be a no for today, just to get some more information about this and try to reach out and beyond what's put up as public hearing testimony. But again, I do thank the committee for referring it over here, and do hope that we can, actually help and deal with this in the most effective way possible. I'm just not sure if medically, in the world of medicine, that we're there yet. So hoping I can get some answers. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Pavlik-Tomato. And the screening and some of the testimony that I did read would allow families to be able to help these newborns in a time frame earlier than if the test was not in place. So there is a benefit. Any other questions or comments? Senator Wong.
Thank you. And again, I appreciate that the Public Health Committee was kind enough to refer this bill to the Insurance Committee, as it's the area of cognizance and in regards to covering insurance related, as this requirement would dictate. That being said, I think it's important to understand Duchenne muscular dystrophy. From my understanding, it is a early screening tool to ensure that those that are impacted by this, which is a form of muscular degeneration and muscle loss, that the premise of the early diagnostic is to ensure that this illness could be caught early, and that preventive measures as well as recuperation methods could begin as early as the newborn's adolescence, to ensure that measures are taken to enhance the potential longevity and the quality of life. When you hear that individuals impacted and newborns impacted by this have a life expectancy from 20 to 25 years, and that evidentiary notes that I've read is that with early diagnosis, that we could have preventive measures as well as medical care that could extend the lives into the 30s, if not later, for those individuals impacted by this. That in itself is something that I found very compelling. And as we saw in the testimony, the medical providers all provided that as a resource of early diagnostic in newborns. But that being said, as we measured in anything else we do in the well-intentioned medical coverage mandates that impact, and we as policy makers dictate in regards to the fully insured marketplace, not the self-insured marketplace, is that we need to balance that with the cost of affordability for all ratepayers. So that is the crux of it. And I think in this case, again, I am weighed by the fiscal analysis. Again, as this bill works through, there may be some more critical analysis of the real cost of the fiscal note impacting policyholders. But that being said, for me, the merits today in my support of this bill is the medical innovation to be able to have early newborn diagnosis of an illness where we could potentially extend the lifespan of individuals and newborns that we hope to live into longer years of life, is something that's compelling enough for me to move this out of the committee. But definitely, again, another work in progress, that we fully explore the balance between mandated insurance costs versus the excellence of medical innovation to making lives better and saving lives, is something that I think this committee weighs a lot of and balance against. So again, I'm going to be voting for this, but I weigh against the consideration of increased cost on policyholders. But when I hear that we can expand lifespans for newborns and individuals born with this to give them a better quality of life, it's something that many of our mandates provide. But and it's hard to say no, but obviously we need to look at affordability. I'm going in circles on this, but nonetheless, it is one of the quandaries we have in this committee when we debate life-saving policies or life-saving procedures that add cost to our healthcare costs, which in cases are sometimes unaffordable. So it's a difficult question, but I don't think I helped myself in any way on this, but I'm going to be voting for it and know it's a work in progress. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Wong. And to follow up on some of your questions, Representative Pavlik-Tomato, this affects 1 in 3,500 boys. And the treatment is a gene therapy that would take place early on, rather than having to go through therapies that wouldn't work, like a birth to 3 or some other things. It just helps target what the issue is on the front end and gives parents the direction for planning. Okay, seeing no questions.
Yes.
Representative Meskers, his hand wasn't up on the.
I thought I had my hand up. I apologize. I lost a family member to muscular dystrophy. I was a partial caregiver for many years. It's a horrible disease, and there is no cure presently, but there are gene therapies and medical treatments that do ameliorate and extend the quality of life. And going back to our commentary, both on biomarkers and this, the amount of money and research to try to find a cure is immense. So in my childhood, there was a fair amount of fundraising done by Jerry Lewis and the Muscular Dystrophy Association, MDA. I think if you think about the tragedy of the disease and parents both preparing and finding out earlier than when it manifests, which is typically, I want to say, somewhere between 3 and 7 years old, that the motor skills begin to degenerate. And by 8 or 9, they're wheelchair bound, to my memory. I think it's essential that we continue to do the work here. So I'm a strong proponent of the bill, having personally witnessed the impact of the disease. So I urge support, and I'll be voting yes.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Clerk, please take the roll.
This is a roll call vote to JF HB 6919, an act requiring newborn screening for Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Representative Wood,
Yes.
Senator Cabrera,
Yes.
Representative Barry, Senator Anwar, Representative Pavlock Tomato, Senator Wong,
Senator Huang votes yes.
Representative Ali Brennan, Representative Delnicki, Representative Meskers,
Representative Meskers votes yes.
Representative Nuccio, Senator Honig,
Yes.
Senator Lesser, Senator Marks.
Marks votes yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was hoping to have another meeting on here since there's so many insurance bills, but I don't see one scheduled, but hopefully we will have one soon. And we will leave the votes open until noon. How about 1? We'll leave the votes open till 1. Thank you, everybody.
Hi. Oh, I can hear you now. How are you?
Like to vote in support of the other item?
Vote, yep, so yep, got it. 6919, yes, got it. Thank you.
Hold on, I'm in a noisy spot.
I heard you. Yep, I got your yay vote for 6919, the Duchenne.
The muscular dystrophy?
Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
You're
Thank you.
good. Great, thanks. Bye-bye. Guys, sorry, wait, no. Hi, Senator Anwar.
Senator Anwar, I vote yes on both the bills.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You got me? Thank you so much.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello,
Hi.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
So there were two bills, as you probably know. It was just the one for biomarker testing and the one for Duchenne muscular dystrophy.
Yes, and I'm a yes on both.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank
were
you.
the one, so thanks. Have a good one.
All right.